Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. This is a follow-up video to the young woman from the Netherlands. You may recall her in our story. I'm 28 and I'm scheduled to die in May. And as of this recording, of course, it is now June the 4th. And she has had that desire or wish fulfilled. Zoraya ter Beek, 28, expects to be euthanized in early May, as we read, because she was autistic and suffered from depression and other psychological issues, and she apparently couldn't deal with it anymore. She said she was hobbled by her depression and autism and a personality disorder. So obviously she had a number of different mental health issues, and I am kind of beside myself that the medical community there in the Netherlands could not have provided some other recourse for her. Now, human beings are human beings. They have free will, and they are able to make their own decisions, but it is still up to that country to decide whether or not that person should live in the sense that if they're given the opportunity to die, you still have to carry out that death, which is, to me, I'm curious about the ethics and morals of that society where they can just allow someone who decides they don't want to live anymore to simply go through that process, because it's a crime, at least here in the United States. You can face criminal penalty for attempting suicide. Obviously, here in the United States, there's a little bit more complexity and dimensions and nuance to it, but you understand my point. So, physically healthy Dutch woman Zoraya ter Beek, 29, dies by assisted suicide. And it's really kind of a sad story. A young Dutch woman finally got her tragic wish to die by assisted suicide. 29-year-old Zoraya ter Beek. Life was terminated last week after waiting 3 years for final approval for her euthanasia, which is legal in the Netherlands if the patient is deemed to be experiencing unbearable suffering with no prospect of improvement. Now, I understand physical pain, maybe not so much. Well, there's psychological and physical pain, but here's the incredible thing about it all, right? Is life can be suffering. And as a person of faith, the Lord told us that in this life there will be trouble, there will be difficulties, there will be complications. And speaking of the Lord, I find it interesting that no one in the faith-based community approached her, but then maybe she didn't want any part of that. And it's sad because as I've interacted with the Narrow Path Society, an individual there named Dominic Morrow, down in the published section, description section, you can see his book where he died for 3 minutes and 47 seconds and went to hell. So he gives his hell testimony. Quite extraordinary, quite a compelling and interesting story, because even in the contemporary time that we live in, there are people that have near-death experiences and say, hey, you know, I died and I had this experience. It seems to confirm what the Bible said in some instances, not all, of course. Then, of course, some of those you got to take with a bit of grain of salt. But many of these testimonies come not only just from ordinary people. Well, I don't mean to diminish their stories by saying just ordinary people, but doctors, neuroscientists, all sorts of individuals who have died and had near-death experiences. And as I like to say in reference to what Dominic says, hell is always waiting. It is always waiting. And I'm not trying to make an assessment or a determined destination for this young woman in her troubled state. I also get heartbroken over hearing stories of people who commit suicide over bullying. So there's all of these particular dimensions to our lives and the things that we go through. But my faith has kept me stable in many of these cases, despite the difficulties, despite the challenges that we face in everyday life. Yes, it's difficult. It's challenging. It is. But it's unfortunate that this young woman who didn't, I suppose, didn't have any physical pain or any physical ailments that would keep her from functioning every day. And I can see how some people might interpret her decision to be a bit selfish, because we often think of suicide as being a bit selfish. But again, I can't make that determination based upon the person's personality, ideology, philosophy, worldview, their mindset, their mind state. But it is unfortunate that she made this decision, at least from my perspective. You know, her country apparently allows for this to happen. People probably voted on it and approved it. I don't necessarily approve it. I don't think it's a right decision. You know, I think the value and the sanctity of life is absolutely important to me, absolutely vital. And I'm heartbroken also, even over this individual, this person who suffered. I believe that she probably suffered, and she probably went through a lot of pain, and she probably had a lot of difficulties in her everyday life. And I'm sure many of you listening to this recording have faced your own challenges and your own difficulties and your own setbacks and senses of oppression and other things. Unfairness, which is another thing we experience in our life, is unfairness and injustice. I mean, it is a challenging world that we live in. And so I want to do a follow-up, let you guys know that obviously this went through. And it's something that the Netherlands apparently has approved. I don't know whether or not it would ever come to the United States. And, of course, we have covered this issue when it comes to Canada on its I don't think Canada has approved this method. But you may recall that, what was it, one of the athletes, former Olympian, was saying something. And then in one of the political figures, not the state or not the country or the government of Canada, but I think an official capacity from Canada suggested that this particular athlete could consider suicide. It may have been very sarcastic, snarky, tongue-in-cheek suggestion, but it is a political individual with political status and clout there in Canada. So something that is something that probably people contemplate. And, we got the globalists out there saying that, we need to live in a pod and eat the bugs. So they'd probably be just as equally as approving of this sort of conclusion or solution to this particular problem. But I did want to do a follow-up for you guys. But I do want to thank all of you across New Tech as well as here on YouTube for your guys' continued support. Below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to if you care to follow me on those, as well as affiliate links. So if you participate on Amazon as a Prime member or order frequently, those links are down below. Or if you want a VPN, virtual private network, I have that down there available to you. It all helps out the channel. But of course, your likes, your shares, and your comments do help out the channel. I appreciate it. It's been an amazing 2024. So I want to thank all of you. And appearing there on the screen, that will be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe and as well as to select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.